The clock of the transfer window does not stop ticking, and Manchester City find themselves in the middle of a true storm of crucial decisions. In recent hours, an impactful piece of news has shaken the backstage of the Etihad Stadium. A player valued at around $35 million may be saying goodbye, and should he accept the proposal on the table, he will begin receiving one of the boldest wage packages ever offered outside Europe's 5 major leagues. The destination in question is Turkey, more precisely Galatasaray, who are willing to turn the Brazilian goalkeeper Ederson into a historic milestone for their domestic league. This move does not happen by chance. Pep Guardiola, since the start of the European summer, has made it clear that he does not wish to carry an oversized squad into the 2025-26 season. The Spanish coach, known for his obsession with control and tactical adjustments, prefers to work with a leaner group where each player knows exactly what his role is and has genuine opportunities to play regularly. For that reason, City's priority at this final stretch of the market is no longer about bringing in reinforcements, but rather creating space through strategic departures. Among the most speculated names, some stand out. Manuel Akanji, an important figure in defense, is also strongly courted by Galatasaray, who make no secret of their desire to assemble a robust squad capable of making noise not only in the Turkish league, but especially in European competitions. Meanwhile, the experienced midfielder İlkay Gündoğan keeps his future open, with constant rumors suggesting he could be convinced to begin a new chapter at another club. In parallel, Tottenham insist on trying to strike a deal for Harry Kane, who still remains the Londoners' priority target, despite the difficulties of negotiating with City. However, of all the possibilities, the situation gaining most momentum is that of Ederson. The goalkeeper, a reference point for the team in recent seasons, surprised many by being left on the bench in City's recent 2-0 defeat to Tottenham, a detail that has fueled speculation about his possible departure. The signal is clear. Guardiola is already considering life without the Brazilian and has started to prepare the ground for a heavyweight replacement. According to behind-the-scenes reports, Gianluigi Donnarumma is the name highlighted as the immediate successor should Ederson's transfer materialize. The Italian goalkeeper, currently at PSG, finds his situation in Paris increasingly unstable, and City emerge as the perfect candidate to rescue his career and offer a new challenge. The logic is simple. If Ederson leaves Manchester, Donnarumma arrives to take the spot. But if Ederson opts to remain, the deal for the Italian could collapse, generating a true domino effect in the final stretch of the window. The figures involved are striking. Journalist Alex Crook revealed that Galatasaray have placed on the table a proposal of approximately $8 million per season for Ederson. That would make him the highest-paid goalkeeper in the history of Turkish football. To get a sense of the scale, the Brazilian currently earns around $5.2 million annually at City. Should he accept the move, he would be securing a substantial raise, in addition to far surpassing other colleagues in his new league. He would, for example, earn nearly $5.5 million more than Dominik Livakovic, Fenerbahce's goalkeeper, known as one of the most valued in the competition. Even so, the difference compared with the highest Turkish wages would still be considerable. Figures such as Victor Osimhen and Yunus Duran, true stars in the local scene, take home around $25 million per season, sums unreachable for the goalkeeping position. Still, for a 32-year-old athlete about to live the final stage of his career at the highest level, this is an opportunity that is unlikely to knock again. Ederson now faces a decision that could not only change his future, but also directly impact Manchester City's present. This move also highlights Galatasaray's ambition. The Turkish club are seeking to establish themselves as major players in Europe, and the arrival of a goalkeeper with Champions League experience and Premier League titles would be a clear message. They are not messing around. They want to challenge the big clubs, and they know that to do so, they need not only talent, but also names that bring leadership and international respect. While this plot unfolds, another name has begun to stand out in the headlines: Marc Guéhi, Crystal Palace's centre-back. The English defender has been the subject of an intense tug-of-war between two Premier League giants, Liverpool and Manchester City, His situation is delicate because, although he has a contract until 2026, the pursuit from big clubs has intensified this window, making his stay in London increasingly unlikely. At Liverpool, Guéhi is seen as a fundamental piece to reinforce a defensive unit that already includes Van Dijk, Konate, Gomez, and the young Kwanzaa. The Reds know they need depth to compete on all fronts, and the addition of another elite center-back would be strategic. City, for their part, are watching closely, particularly because Akanji and Nathan Ake may yet leave the squad. Should one of them depart, Guéhi would immediately become a priority on Guardiola's radar. A curious point is that Guéhi has already played alongside John Stones for the England national team and even publicly praised his teammate, citing him as an inspiration. The idea of forming a Stones-Guéhi partnership appeals greatly to the Spanish coach, who sees in that pairing a defensive consistency capable of keeping City at the top. However, the saga gains even more drama when Fabrizio Romano steps in. According to the journalist, despite all of Manchester City's interest, Guéhi's preference still lies with Liverpool. Negotiations between Crystal Palace and the Reds are already underway, and the defender's desire could prove decisive. Should a deal not be possible now, the expectation is that Liverpool will return to the pursuit in 2026, when the player's contract nears its end. For City, the reading is pragmatic. If they cannot secure Guéhi, Guardiola already has alternatives up his sleeve, such as Kusanov, a young center-back with the potential to be molded within the team's playing model. City, after all, have a tradition of finding solutions, whether through shrewd signings or the development of players already within the squad. It is this long-term vision that sets Guardiola and his staff apart, always ready to adapt to circumstances without losing competitiveness. While the spotlight is on Ederson and Guéhi, another name that refuses to leave the headlines is Nathan Ake. The Dutch defender has been surprisingly linked with potential interest from Everton, which has raised questions among Manchester City supporters. After all, why would the Toffees, in the midst of a rebuilding process, target Ake specifically? And to what extent could this rumor gain traction? Manchester City, for their part, have confirmed that there was indeed an inquiry from the Merseyside club, not only for Ake, but also for other players currently part of Guardiola's squad. This movement alone was enough to provoke heated debates among fans and analysts. However, the official stance of the board and coaching staff is clear. Ake is part of the plans for the season and is highly unlikely to be released in this window. David Moyes, who has been trying to restore Everton's confidence and find competitive balance, has already shown satisfaction with the arrival of Jack Grealish on loan. The midfielder, who had been struggling for playing time at City, made a strong debut, providing 2 assists against Brighton and reigniting the hopes of the Blue supporters. Naturally, the good relationship between the clubs has fueled speculation. If Grealish could be negotiated, why not open the way for Ake as well? Guardiola, however, has his reasons for holding on to the defender. Ake started in 2 of City's 4 matches at the FIFA Club World Cup played this summer, showing solidity in crucial moments. Moreover, with Rico Lewis struggling with fitness issues and Joško Gvardiol still far from his best form, the Dutchman has become indispensable in certain decisive fixtures. This reality makes it unthinkable for the manager to lose him now, even if in the medium term his departure might be considered. It is worth recalling that last season was far from easy for Ake. Persistent injuries disrupted his rhythm and restricted him to just 8 league starts in the Premier League. Nevertheless, he is still regarded as a reliable player, especially due to his versatility, capable of playing both as a central defender and as a fullback in more asymmetric systems. His contract runs until 2027, which allows City to assess his trajectory with patience. Everton, therefore, are likely to look towards other defensive targets, including Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Kellen Fisher, and Hector Fort, who emerge as feasible alternatives to strengthen the squad. But while Ake's future seems temporarily settled, the same cannot be said for another scenario that is beginning to take shape in parallel: a possible direct contest between Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain. The intersection point between the two giants this time is not only the Donnarumma case, but also a young Spanish talent who shone last season, Yeremy Hernandez, a 22-year-old forward and standout at Deportivo La Coruña. Hernandez has become a sensation in Spain after recording 15 goals and 5 assists in 39 matches. Impressive numbers for someone of his age in a team still searching for stability in the national divisions. More than the numbers, his ability to create opportunities stands out. He generated 49 clear chances, placing him among the most promising attackers of his generation. This performance has not gone unnoticed by City and PSG scouts, who see him as the perfect addition to bring depth to their squads. In City's case, the need is clear. Guardiola has always enjoyed working with incisive wingers, capable of breaking down compact defenses with dribbling, pace, and unpredictable finishes. Since the departure of players like Mahrez, the squad has lacked wide options. Hernandez, therefore, would be seen not merely as a short-term reinforcement, but as a long-term investment, someone who can develop within the sporting project and establish himself as a starter in the medium term. On the other hand, PSG are also moving. The imminent departure of Donnarumma could open space for a new cycle in Paris, and the board views Hernandez's arrival as part of a necessary renewal to keep the club competitive at European level. With Neymar already gone, Messi in the past, and Mbappé in an uncertain situation, the search for new protagonists is urgent. The release clause of the young Spaniard is firmly on the radar of both clubs, and each appears willing to pay the fee. The question is, who will convince the player? Guardiola can rely on the strength of a consolidated project, frequent trophies, and the opportunity to play alongside stars such as Haaland, De Bruyne, and Foden. PSG, in contrast, can offer immediate prominence, something every young player craves in order to project himself rapidly onto the world stage. What is striking about this potential battle is how it connects with the Ederson case. Should the Brazilian truly leave Manchester, City would not only free up room in the wage bill, but also signal to the market their willingness to reshape the squad. Donnarumma could become the key piece in goal, while Hernandez would arrive to revitalize the attacking options. In other words, Guardiola's club could end the window not only with departures, but also with signings capable of transforming the team's dynamics once again. And it is precisely this duality that makes the final stretch of the market so fascinating. City find themselves facing a dilemma: maintain the core that has won everything in recent seasons, or reinvent themselves in pursuit of a new era of success. Ederson's fate, negotiations for Guehi, Ake's continued presence, and the contest with PSG over Hernandez are all pieces of the same chessboard, where each move could trigger unpredictable consequences. The supporters, meanwhile, watch this chess match with a mixture of anxiety and curiosity. After all, every decision taken behind the scenes at the Etihad may prove decisive not only for the current season, but also for the future of the institution in the years ahead. Guardiola, as always, maintains his calm tone, yet he knows he is facing one of the most complex transfer windows since his arrival in England. In the corridors of the Etihad, the feeling is that the club is facing a true crossroads. It is not simply a matter of who arrives or who leaves, but of the meaning that each of these moves carries. Pep Guardiola, one of the most influential managers in modern football, knows that every decision now could redefine Manchester City's identity for the years ahead. The case of Ederson illustrates this tension well. The goalkeeper is not only an experienced athlete, but also a symbol of an era. Since his arrival, he has changed the way City built their play from the back. His precision in passing, his courage to play under pressure, and his composure in critical moments made him a key figure in all the club's recent successes. Losing him, therefore, would not just mean parting with a player. It would mean altering the very essence of the playing style that has made the club feared across Europe. That is why the possible arrival of Donnarumma divides opinion. The Italian has undeniable talent, quick reflexes, and an imposing physique. But would he offer the same composure with the ball at his feet? Guardiola has made it clear in several interviews that he will not compromise on this quality in his goalkeepers. For that reason, This negotiation is not just financial or contractual, but also philosophical. Keeping Ederson means preserving an identity. Replacing him with Donnarumma would mean risking a reformulation at the very height of the club's success. Meanwhile, the situation of Guehi highlights another dilemma: the balance between investing in experience or betting on youth. The Crystal Palace defender is only 24 years old, yet he already displays remarkable maturity. At the same time, his preference for Liverpool exposes the fragility of any project that depends not only on money, but also on the player's desire. City, so used to dictating the pace of the market, now find themselves in a position of competition with no guarantee of victory. This forces Guardiola and the board to revise their plans and keep alternative options ready. In Ake's case, the choice was pragmatic. Holding on to him at this moment is more than a question of technical quality. It is a strategic decision. With other defenders injured and no immediate replacements available, letting the Dutchman leave would open a wound in an already vulnerable sector. That is why, despite Everton's interest, the answer was negative. Guardiola needs stability, and Ake, even if not the most glamorous defender, provides exactly that. But perhaps it is in the pursuit of Yeremy Hernandez that City show their true face in this transfer window. The young Spaniard is not just another signing, he represents the future. Guardiola, who has always believed in the importance of refreshing the squad with promising talent, sees in him the opportunity to address a gap left in recent years. The departure of wingers like Mahrez reduced the team's offensive depth, and investing in Hernandez would align immediate need with long-term vision. The battle with PSG, however, adds extra drama. The French club, accustomed to spending heavily, can offer enticing figures, but they lack City's sporting stability. For a 22-year-old, choosing the right path is crucial. Playing alongside Haaland and De Bruyne could mean accelerated development, while the promise of a starring role in Paris may tempt with its individual glamour. This choice, therefore, will be a barometer of how new talents perceive the two European giants at this moment. All the while, City supporters live between anxiety and expectation. On social media, heated debates split opinions. Some fans argue that Ederson should accept the Turkish proposal, as the club would gain good financial return and could still rely on Donnarumma. Others see his possible departure as a grave mistake, a risk that could prove costly this season. The same applies to Guehi. While some dream of his arrival, others believe investing in alternatives like Kusanov would be smarter and less expensive. The board, for their part, must balance emotion with financial reality. Financial fair play remains a factor to watch, and every decision must be based not only on sporting ambition, but also on economic impact. The record-breaking contract offered to Ederson by Galatasaray is tempting, as it would create room on the wage bill for new investments. However, losing a player of his caliber could also harm the team's consistency. Guardiola, ever cautious, tries to shield the squad from this storm of rumors. In training, he demands total focus, reminding everyone that, regardless of what happens off the pitch, on it, the obligation is always the same: to win. He knows the Premier League does not forgive distractions, and any slip could open the door to rivals like Liverpool and Arsenal, ready to seize any opportunity. This balance between backstage politics and on-pitch performance is what makes City's moment so delicate. It is as if the club were about to cross a narrow bridge. One false step could mean a fall, but crossing safely could lead to a new era of dominance. Each decision, whether Ederson stays, Guehi arrives, Ake is retained, or Hernandez is signed, is a piece of this larger puzzle. At its core, the message is clear. Manchester City are not just a team seeking reinforcements, but an institution in constant transformation, adapting to the demands of an ever more competitive modern football. Guardiola is fully aware of this and leads each step with the composure of someone who has faced similar crises in his career. Yet even he knows that in this final stretch of the transfer window, the coming days will define not just the 2025-26 season, but possibly the direction of the club for the next decade. And so, amidst so many uncertainties, Manchester City continue to live through decisive days that could redefine their immediate future as well as their long-term legacy. Every negotiation, every rumor, every signature carries the weight of gold on a chessboard where there is no room for error. What happens in the next few hours could forever mark the club's recent history, and you, the supporter, will be a witness to each detail of this journey. So if you have made it this far, don't forget, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. It's quick, it's free, and it makes all the difference for us to keep bringing you exclusive content, in-depth analysis, and the latest behind-the-scenes news on Manchester City. I'm counting on you to stay with us on this journey towards the most unpredictable season in recent years.